Paul, Catalina, and Garrett Ross today. Pierre is in New York City. Or maybe he's on his way right now. I'm not sure. Maybe he left yesterday. I'm not sure. But he is covering the WNBA Finals because the Minnesota Lynx are in it. And if you didn't know that, where have you been? It's 2024. WNBA is popular now. Get on board or go away.
I could not tell you who's in the finals. No clue.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I bet you probably couldn't. I mean, but no. I followed along a little bit more than I normally have, just because I don't want to be uninformed.
If I see something on Twitter, that's about my as far as I'm going with that. It'll come across, and it's usually just something about Caitlin Clark or something.
Yeah. And mostly like it's manufactured stories around Caitlin
Pretty much.
Clark. Oh my gosh, this happened. Like, all right, look, the thing I hope that the media starts to understand, and I think most of the people who cover women's basketball understand this, is that if Steph Curry and LeBron James get into a minor scuffle during a basketball game, it is not Steph Curry mad that LeBron James is the bigger face of the league.
No.
When Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, have a little physical kerfuffle, it's not really that either.
No.
So now Angel Reese might say some things like, hey, you need to pay attention to everybody, which I agree with.
What's wrong with that?
I'm fine with that. Like, that's fine. So then it makes it seem like it is. But again, if tomorrow night, in a WNBA or an NBA preseason game, Kawhi Leonard and Nikola Jokic get into something, there's no bigger implications than it's two athletes in the heat of battle
going at it,
and whether they like each other means next to nothing.
No,
it doesn't mean anything. Oh wow, Kawhi and Joker don't get along. Who gives a crap? Like, who cares? Like, these things are good for ooh, wow, yeah, that's what makes it better. So, when you're watching women's basketball now, when you're watching the WNBA, and it's like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, yeah, they have a Magic versus Bird type
it's
rivalry.
the exact same thing.
Live into it. Lean into it. Don't question why it exists. Magic and Bird made it work for them.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're friends now.
Absolutely.
They weren't when they were playing against each other all that much.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, again.
It's good.
Why do we live in a world where everybody has to be friends?
I have no idea.
We should aspire to civility, but not across-the-board friendship.
No.
That's what I don't get. We can talk about, the sexism and all that stuff till we're blue in the face. Blue in the face. The bottom line is we've just got to start reacting to it the same way because it doesn't mean anything. It's sports. That's it.
Yep.
In the heat of battle. You ever watch guys in a boxing match and go and they're we just beat the crap out of each other, but hey man, good to see you. I'll catch you when we go to Cabo because we have the same agent.
It's just business, man.
It's just our job is fighting.
Yeah.
I don't really like you because you punched me in the kidneys, but I'll get over it for next time when I get to punch you right back.
Yeah.
This is how it works.
The millions make you feel better.
Sports. Yeah. It's great that the Padres and Dodgers hate each other's guts. Is it going to keep me up at night about the future of society that those two teams can't get along? No, it's not. So the more I see teams that don't like each other when they're playing games, the more entertaining it is.
It's funner.
But I don't think about the greater implications for anything other than what happens tomorrow when they play again. That's all I care about.
Yep.
That's it. That's the only thing. So sometimes I watch sports and I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, which I'm sure everybody feels like. Let's dive into some of these games, Garrett. Let's start with Texas and Oklahoma, a game we talked a lot about yesterday. Smokey interviewed Barry Switzer, 87 years old, still sharp as a tack and funny as hell. Got him in the morning, too. You get him at 4:30. I mean, you'll get some good stories, but we might ramble a little bit longer. Which is what I plan to be at 87 years old. At 87, I want you to call me and be like, let me tell you about this time. Sit down. I got a story for you. You're never going to believe this. Hold on. Son, get me another one of those. That's my goal at 87.
Yeah.
No rocks.
Just all in your underwear.
No rocks. I'm not a child. But Texas and OU. Texas is a huge favorite in this game, which is not normal for this rivalry. I don't think that they'll hit the spread in this. Personally,
I don't either.
I think Oklahoma's a little bit better than they're getting credit for right now. But I still think Texas is going to win the game. They've just got too much. Oklahoma doesn't have depth. Deion Burks, they're not going to play, confirmed now. They're not expecting him to play, so it means he's not going to play. So since you're down a weapon and you're not as deep, that's where Texas gets them. But I do expect weirdness because this is what happens with this game all the time. You get in the Cotton Bowl. Part of it, I think, is this. Kim Coulter brought this up yesterday on the chat. He was like, the Cotton Bowl's a dump. You know, it's one of the worst stadiums he's ever been to. It's an absolute dump. It's been around too long. You know, they try to remodel it, they try to make it better. Really, they just need to, like, knock it over and build something else in its place. That's where initially the Cowboys wanted to be. And then the mayor of Dallas is like, no, we're not going to give the billionaire any money. And then the mayor of Arlington's like, we'll give every billionaire money. We need
We're the entertainment capital of the Metroplex.
You know, move the Oklahoma City Thunder here. We don't care. We'll give them money. I don't
Everybody's like, hell yeah.
That's a nightmare Emory has of the Oklahoma City Thunder moving anywhere. Yeah. Like, oh, Seattle's going to get another franchise. Like, no, it's just going to get another rich guy who's going to bring it back. Yeah. Like that's what their fear is. They wake up in the middle of the night. That's when you stay at that Skirvin Hotel right down the way that you hear the ghost, and it's not the lady and her baby. It's the ghost of Seattle going, we're taking it back. You guys stole Kevin Durant from us. You bastards. Oh, good. They're still there. Is it still Chesapeake Arena? Is that what it is? PayPal. Paycom Arena. Paycom. At Paycom Arena right down the street there. So, no, I think that Texas and OU should be a really, really normal Texas and OU game. And because of the thing about the stadium, they're both going into places that it's a place that's way not as nice as where they're used to. You know, so then, that throws you off. It's a 2:30 kickoff, so that should maybe make this a little bit less weird. But I do think the 11 o'clock kicks because Texas and OU usually only get 2 a year, and it's when they play their FCS opponent and this one. But now that it's at 2:30, that should be very interesting. So, but I even though I think Texas is going to win, and it may not be dire at the end, I still don't think 14.5 is where I would go on this.
I'm honestly excited to see how Oklahoma's defense handles Texas because, I mean, they've seen explosive offenses in Tennessee recently. They were able to go on the road and play a very physical team in Auburn where they were able to come out with a win. So putting both of those things together with Texas, you're going to have that explosive offense plus that physicality. That's going to be interesting to me. I like what I've seen from Oklahoma's defense. I just don't think they can match the playmakers from Texas. But at the same time, like, how rusty is Quinn Ewers going to be back coming back to this game? I think there's going to be some opportunities for Oklahoma's secondary to pick him off because I really do think that front seven can get after him a little bit. But at the same time, I mean, Texas is just so loaded. And I think that the talent disparity that they have will play out in the end. But I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is one that the defense for Oklahoma can keep Texas at bay a little bit and cause some disruptions, but it should be a fun matchup regardless. But I think Texas gets the dub.
Yeah, I do too. I completely agree with that. I think that they get the win. But and look, Quinn Ewers is going to be back, so that could be a whole they don't really lose anything with either quarterback at all. One that's not a ranked versus ranked, but it's close is Penn State and USC. USC is at home. Penn State's on the road. I haven't seen Penn State be completely they're number 4 in the country for a reason. This is the best you've seen a James Franklin team look. Andy Kotelnicki.
The offense, Kotelnicki saved the offense.
He's made the offense totally different. USC's got to find that again. Their defense is better, but its weakness is kind of when you run right at it. And now with a little less depth on the defensive line, I think that's going to, like, Michigan beat USC with 3 long runs.
Right.
That's the only thing that they did all day was Cal Mullings had 3 long runs. And that happened because Minnesota, like, was able to run, like, right up the middle against them. So D'Anton Lynn has got to get that short up, but I think that this should be a pretty close game. I'm curious to see if USC can score points because their offense has not been what we've expected for a while.
Yeah, I think Miller Moss has kind of been figured out a little bit, and teams have realized that if you can take away Zachariah Branch, their offense is really going to struggle. The defense, while it started off hot and it looked really good against LSU, I think it's kind of catching up, and it's also like playing those teams in the style of play that they're not familiar with playing with the Big Ten. When you're going to play run-heavy teams like Michigan and Minnesota back-to-back, this is one where I think Penn State just rolls them, honestly. I think their offense could put up some big points on that USC defense. I think that the physicality of Penn State's defense will ultimately be the deciding factor in this game. I think they rocked Miller Moss a few times, but I think this is one where reality is about to start setting in for the Trojans, that it's a little different in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Here's an interesting thing. This is not a big game. I mean, it's a big rivalry game, but it's not a big game at all because Tennessee, I would think, would bounce back and beat Florida, especially at home. They should win that game. This could be, like, every week could be Billy Napier's last week. And if they bounce back and throttle them like I think that they can, I think it might be. So just keep an eye out for that.
I think this is one where you kind of expect it at Florida. Like, I don't think Florida realistically.
But the thing is that I think they're waiting for I think there are probably some people who would just rather had it done if UCF had won.
Right.
Like I think a lot of people thought they'd be like, well, this gives us the runway we want to do it. Florida's in a pickle because they've got to hire a coach, but if they want to get a big name from a team that's in the playoff, like, say, Lane Kiffin, who I think right now is the pipe dream, so that they want to go steal Lane Kiffin away from Ole Miss, well, if Ole Miss is in the playoff, it's unlikely you're going to get at him in a time for him to turn around a recruiting class. So you're probably going to have one of those years where, like, yeah, Lane Kiffin's here, and let's see how he can do in the portal in the spring.
That's what I meant. Like, I understand that most programs, like Florida is one of those programs, they don't hesitate to fire somebody. But with everything you just laid out, like, what's the benefit of firing Napier this early in the season? Like, there really isn't one. And
I think they've started to lose some recruits. Particularly, they've lost a couple. Like, they've lost one to Georgia, they lost one to Miami. They got one that's taken visits, and yeah, like they lost a wide receiver to Miami, like 2 weeks after they lost to Miami. He took a visit there, and then this week he committed. So those are things where Billy Napier was saying, like, look, I'm getting these guys in here. Look at our class ranking. And they're like, yeah, but.
I mean, recruiting's cyclical.
Like, all right. So that was he's losing his last little hold on it.
Yeah.
And I think they need to, because they've got to retain DJ Lagway. I think it's probably better to let him go early, just so that you can inform DJ Lagway that a change in the program is coming.
I just don't
think you should build anything around one player, but I do think that given the transfer portal and how he could just easily be like, all right, screw this, like just let him know that you're swinging for the fences.
I just don't know how much
players that you like that are there.
I just don't know how much of the Lagway situation is on Napier being the coach versus being at Florida and getting the money you're going to be able to make and be able to be the face that brings Florida back. That I think there's more to it than just, I think they can hold on to Lagway with or without Napier. I don't think Napier's the saving grace to keeping Lagway in place in Gainesville. I think they can let him go, bring somebody else in, and I think it's bigger to Lagway than just the coach, and I think they can hold on to him regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Lagway's going to stay. I just think that like for the players in the program who feel the weight of this impending change, I think you should just go ahead and make it.
Yeah.
And tell them, like, hey, we're changing. Please stay here. Let the collective start raising money for the retention of the guys that you want, like those kind of things. And then move on. Ole Miss and LSU, Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
This game was like 55-52 last year, something
stupid.
like that.
Yeah.
It was stupid. Does LSU have the secondary to keep up with this? Up front, they've been really good the last couple of games.
They have.
Jackson Dart, like, letting the ball go deep to Trey Harris and the rest of the guys that they have, Juice Wells, kind of scares me for LSU.
It does. I think this will be a shootout. Now, Trey Harris is still kind of up in the air on his status, but on the flip side, like, LSU's looking at going to be without Chris Hilton. Well, they've been without Chris Hilton all year long, but C.J. Daniels, their other receiver, isn't going to play. Caden Durham is kind of questionable, so you got some of your star power for LSU's offense that's on the fence. I think Durham will play, but no, man, I think, honestly, Jackson Dart can torch this defense because LSU's defense is nowhere near as good as what Kentucky's is, which is weird to say. But that's been their biggest Achilles heel the past few years is the defense, and I think that LSU could score with Ole Miss. I'm more confident about LSU being able to get the win than I was even a couple of weeks ago. Like, ever since even before the season, I had this penciled in as an L for LSU just because of what Ole Miss is able to do. But after watching the Rebs over the past few weeks, I think LSU can beat them. And the fact that it was embarrassing for them to lose last year, you're coming off a bye week where you're looking at Ole Miss coming off a loss. I think that benefits LSU. Plus, you go back into Tiger Stadium. I think it's going to be another shootout, but I honestly can kind of see LSU getting the win in this one.
Yeah. By the way, let's just throw out some stats for you here, buddy. Jackson Dart, 2,100 yards passing on the season, 73% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. And of those 127 completions, 52 of them are to Trey Harris.
Yeah.
Not being talked about enough, getting a little overshadowed, but he is tearing it up. And Juice Wells is one of the other receivers, and Caden Lee are both pretty good in their own right. But Trey Harris is just
different, just
chomping up the targets. Henry Parrish Jr. at running back's been really good for them too. He was at Ole Miss, transferred to Miami, transferred back. So that's going to be tough. But I agree with you. I think LSU. I feel better about LSU
they're
today
different
than I did 2 weeks ago.
And I think it really comes down to Caden Durham. Like LSU had no rushing attack, and it was just you're living by the deep ball. And people started realizing that. They took away Kyron Lacey, and they forced you just to throw down to Mason Taylor, and you had nothing going. Now you have Caden Durham. That's totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. The offensive line has been playing a lot better.
It has. I was really worried about Will Campbell. I was starting to think he was being overrated, honestly, because he gave up some
it's Emory Jones. Emory Jones there, too.
Will Campbell was more like he was looking a little rough there for a start.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk Ohio State and Oregon. At Autzen Stadium, a really tough place to play. This is a rematch of a national championship game, one that I was at in Arlington, Texas, future home of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just want to see Emory. I want to see Emory angry for once in his life. Yeah, I want to see the Bronco side of Emory. That's what I want to see.
Break out the Bronco.
But no, like my question in this one is anyone deep enough in the Big Ten to hang with Ohio State? I don't think so. I think that's what it's going to come down to. Like the home field advantage will be they're a home dog. Like that should help them a little bit. I just don't think that given Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Ibuka and Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson and Caleb Downs on the other side of the ball, a defensive line that's essentially all back except for like one guy, a secondary that's back for except for one guy, all of that to me. And then at like the one guy they lost, they replaced with Caleb freaking Downs, who was the best freshman at any position in the country a year ago. So
I don't think it's going to be close.
I think Ohio State wins this game is just on depth.
I honestly think Ohio State can make an example out of Oregon. Not necessarily to the extreme that Georgia did last year, but I think this is one that Ohio State's been waiting on, and this is definitely one of those games that would be a good signature win for Ryan Day.
This is the welcome to the league MFers kind of a game.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, what all the talk coming in was can Oregon jump Ohio State? Or, can Oregon push Ohio State for the I think Ohio State comes out and makes a statement and let them know, like, we are the Big Ten. You got to run through us. Like, Oregon's good, but I just don't think they have the power to hang with them. And as far as the atmosphere, yeah, Autzen a great stadium. It's a great environment, but, like, that's nothing that anybody from Ohio State hasn't seen before. They've experienced bigger games and bigger environments. So I think this is one where the Buckeyes can honestly come out and exert their dominance.
Yeah. By the way, just some comments on this from the chat room. UT Parking, Ohio State might have the best roster overall in the country, but I don't trust Will Howard to the big stage.
That's fair. I'm right there with you.
Kyle Visser, Ohio State has the best team money can buy, except at QB.
I'm right there with you.
I think Will Howard is a bus driver a little bit.
But that's all he has to be.
He only has to be in this offense. I am still floored that Cam Ward was not in the discussion for them.
Yeah, that's really weird. Maybe he just maybe that's a weather thing. I don't know. I have no idea, dude.
He was just playing at Wazoo.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe you want to get out of that.
I guess. But and look, I'm not knocking the city of Columbus, but I can tell you, I do know that you go to Miami, and now that Miami can give you the treatment they used to give people in private out in the open, and no offense to Uncle Luke. But Rick Ross is bigger than that.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
We know, our generation knows that.
We know.
Everybody knows, I never saw Uncle Luke on a Wingstop commercial. I never saw that. Actually, I know him more now as Uncle Luke, the football coach and fan, and Miami fan, more than I do from his hip-hop days.
Like the Freaknik.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know him way more from those. That's what I know him now. So Rick Ross and that Miami can do that in the open. Not surprised that they got Not surprised that they got Cam Ward at all.
I'm not either.
All surprised, and he obviously made a really good choice. It's a perfect fit for him. So far,
I think I'm still baffled of the whole Kyle McCord situation and leaving Ohio. That one, because I still don't see Will Howard as a step up, an upgrade over Kyle McCord.
Kyle McCord's been playing in an offense that suits him better at Syracuse. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country this year.
Yeah, he is.
He only had one loss at Ohio State as a starter. Why? So here's what I like. Clearly, that's kind of a Fran Brown special there because he's one hell of a recruiter.
Yeah.
And he's already proven that out in his very short time at Syracuse. But I think it's a whiff on every team who needed a transfer quarterback.
Absolutely.
And pick somebody else over him that wasn't I
just don't get it.
I can just tell you that there's another ACC team that made a horrible decision that he would have been just fine. It'd been just fine there, and they didn't even kick the tires on him. It was Nebraska and Syracuse, and then Nebraska realized that Raiola was ready to go, and they're like, "Well, let's not be silly here."
He would have been good at Nebraska too.
He would have been good at Nebraska,
right,
but they have something.
Oh, yeah,
yeah. If you think Raiola's good now,
you know what's gonna be crazy though is if Nebraska can really pull it off, and they get his little brother, and you let the little brother wait behind the big brother patiently, that could be interesting.
Yeah. Is his little brother as good?
He's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. And again, you've got all these connections that Matthew Stafford's his godfather.
Pretty good.
Patrick Mahomes is his buddy.
Mm-hmm. They have an opportunity to reel in something unique up there.
Yeah. I think I'll never get him to say this out loud in an interview, but I will ask him personally the next time I see Matt. That's one of those things that when a legacy kid from the glory days of Nebraska is one of the best quarterbacks in the country,
right?
You have to do all you can to get him there.
Absolutely do.
You have to do that in your early tenure, because if you don't, what are you doing? And look, if he doesn't go, he doesn't go. But clearly he grew up with a love for it. That's all you have to do is tap back into it and convince him that he can be the guy that makes it what it used to be.
Yep. And I also think that's one of those situations where NIL is perfect, because without that, you probably wouldn't have had that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have had that opportunity. You would have gone to somebody
else. That, to me, opens the door. I think what seals it for a legacy kid like that's that good is, no, this is where it's going. This is where we're going to be. And Matt Rule has enough time in the NFL too, where like the people can call around and go, "Hey, is this guy legit?" And they'll go, "Yeah. No, he's legit." Like, especially now that like the Panthers clearly was not his fault.
No, hell no, he got screwed.
I kind of knew that anyway, but I'm now. My cup is full on the world knows that was nothing to do with Matt.
No, he's a tremendous coach.
Yeah, he's a tremendous coach. I do think, though, that, like, he's done in the NFL. Like, he might get the itch again one day, but I do think that he didn't enjoy it.
If he does, though, I think it would be, like, the Giants finally come calling, and then he can go.
He'd have
to
work for – to me, I would think he would have to work for an owner that is, like, Arthur Blank.
Right.
The Maras, like, the Rooneys, like, somebody who's, like, ingrained into the fabric of the league from its jump.
Yep.
As opposed to someone like David Tepper, who's a newbie finance bro, billionaire, like let's throw money at things, kind of a guy. For sure. All right, 2 more games I want to mention before we head out. Garrett, Iowa State and West Virginia. This is in Morgantown. Does Iowa State stay undefeated?
Yes.
I say yes.
Yes, they do. I think while there is some substance to Morgantown and West Virginia playing at home. I get that, but this is the season where we've already seen that home field advantage isn't necessarily there. And kind of going back to what we were talking about last week, where home field advantage is kind of like a made-up situation. I don't think the atmosphere is going to be like as big of a factor in this. I think Garrett Green, while he's gotten better over the past couple of weeks, he's still inconsistent, and that Iowa State defense is going to cause him hell. And also, I don't think defensively West Virginia can really lock up Higgins or Noel. Like that passing attack with Rocco Beck can get into rhythm. I think Iowa State stays undefeated.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. In the last one, K-State and Colorado, I think this game's going to be fantastic. I really do. Colorado played a complete game against UCF. They've had the week off since then, so that only allows them to kind of maybe refocus on that. I think there'll be a little bit of like blood in the water for Dylan Edwards on this one. And I think that if Kansas State can kind of control the game the way Nebraska did, then I don't think that anybody's going to manhandle Colorado like Nebraska did again. I think they've kind of learned their lesson from that. But I am still picking Kansas State in this game, although I think it will be close. And I think that if they let, Shedeur Sanders out of the well, then that's going to be a problem for their defense because, if you throw the ball anywhere near Travis Hunter, he's going to get it. Either side of the ball. Like you can't let him even get a sniff at it. So you've got to contain that. I think Kansas State can, but still, this should be a great one. Late night at Folsom Field.
You're gonna pick
Colorado?
Go with Colorado, dude. And I would have not up until like just this moment. I don't think I would have picked them, but I'm gonna ride with Colorado because we've seen Kansas State, and maybe it will benefit Kansas State because they've already had to go across country and play at night when they went into BYU. So maybe their body clocks and that being that soon will help. But I think Shiloh's coming back, and while Shiloh is very suspect and hit or miss, I think he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder just because we know him. I think they can kind of force Avery Johnson because he's been proven to, if you rattle him a little bit, he can get erratic. I think Colorado might be able to do that. I'm going to go with Colorado, pull off the upset.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Garrett calling Colorado over K-State.
And I mean, hey.
Yeah. All right, look. Hey, in our picks, you've got to play a little catch-up, okay?
I'm doing better, but yes.
You're doing better. You're within striking distance of the other people. But Craig, we need Craig to have a down week. Craig had a horrible week 1. Since then, dude's been on a tear.
Yeah.
An absolute tear.
And oddly, and I didn't realize this until last year when me and Jack were doing picks, Jack can oddly pick some damn games too. He's pretty good.
Here's the thing that Craig has that Jack doesn't. An emotionless look at everything.
Yep.
Jack and you and me and Smokey let our emotions get in
Yep.
the way.
Yep.
Craig can turn them off and make the picks.
Yep.
So, because he won last year. And then I fell behind it because I would take last year in our pick'em, and we were only doing 5 games, which makes it really hard to catch up when you're behind.
Oh, yeah, no chance.
Now with 10, you really can. But we were only doing 5 games a week. So, but now with the 10, you can make that up. But with 5, early on in the season, I picked some stuff, and then things happened like, oh, this quarterback tore his ACL in the fourth quarter, and then the game got away. They were winning, quarterback got hurt, backup came in, they lost. Or field goal got blocked, they would have won the game. Like, if we were picking against the spread, I would have dominated the two of them because I was right on these are flip games.
Right.
More than they were. The problem, like, that the fact that they were a flip game, the problem was the flip didn't happen for some weird reason about 4 or 5 times early in the season, and then I was just chasing them after that.
Yeah.
So I had to go weeks where I just picked the same as them, and then I would try to, like, snipe one here and there, and then you get one, you lose one, you get one, you lose one, and you're just kind of in the same spit. You know, and then one week you go for 2, you get them both wrong, and then you're 2 behind. Yeah, it's.
I think it's funny that you mentioned the emotion because, like, last year, well, it really happened last year, and then it happened to be early this year where I picked Florida. I picked Florida to go into Utah last year, which was stupid. And then I can't remember who they were playing earlier this year, and I picked them as well, and they got beat. So in my emotions were like, I already hate this university and everything about it. I'm never going to pick them again. So last week when they were playing UCF, I totally just went for the Knights. I was like, screw Florida. And, of course, my emotions got the best of me again as Florida took care of them. And so I have an issue with the Gators. They're getting one over on me.
Yeah. Look, I'm very emotional when it comes to those Jagweeds too. I really am.